Hey folks, it's Ariel over at Fy Nyth. I was going to do a little video today about storage, specifically clothing storage. That's something people tend to ask me about, probably women more than men. How did I downsize my wardrobe? How do I store that? Where is it? Because it doesn't show up in a lot of my pictures of the house. So that's what I'm going to go through today. I'm going to show you around in a little bit, but first I'm going to tell you a couple things here. For one, I didn't really downsize my wardrobe. That is because of several things. First of all, I've never been one of those girls that had a whole lot of clothes compared to some people. I certainly have a lot more clothing than a lot of people on this planet, but not gobs and gobs. I've never been I guess I've got kind of a mixture of things. I've never been like a shoe girl. I don't even own a pair of heels. But I do have quite a few pairs of footwear because I've got boots for water, I've got boots for snow, I have got sandals, I've got flip-flops, I've got moccasins, I've got hiking shoes, I have rock climbing shoes, I have ski boots, etc. So I only have one of each of those things. It's not like I have shelves and shelves of my fancy shoes, but that is a lot of pairs of footwear. And if you've watched my other videos and seen the climate in which I live, you can understand that I probably can't just downsize all of my boots, and boots are fairly bulky things. So I do have a good bit of clothing. I've also got quite a few different coats and jackets. I live in a climate where it's cold a lot of the time, and when it's not, the weather can change very rapidly. You want to be able to layer, so I don't really have the option of being able to safely and comfortably live with just keeping one jacket. Also, I don't do laundry very often. I'll link to a post about how I do my laundry here if that interests you, but I do laundry like once a month. I have enough underwear, I have enough socks. It also helps if you wear things like socks that are wool. They do not get stinky. Or at least it's very hard for them to get stinky, or they get stinky much slower. So this can save you some laundry doing. I do try to, in general, wear natural fibers. I think there's probably some health benefits there, but also I'm more comfortable myself when I'm wearing cotton, or some wools are a little bit scratchy, but some smart wools and some of those brands I can wear, especially if it's not a layer right up against my skin. I don't own anything but wool socks. I haven't for quite a few years. They are expensive, but they last a really long time, so that's worth it for me. So I do have enough clothing that I can comfortably go for quite a stretch without needing to do laundry. I also rewear clothing. I'll show you my setup for that in a minute, but if I've worn something to go out and have dinner with a friend, or have dinner with a friend here, it is probably not dirty. Now, some people are going to tell you that this is gross and this is nasty, but you also find a lot of other people that realize this is pretty reasonable. So that clothing, because I wore it once for dinner, and assuming I didn't spill something all over myself, that goes on my rack, which I'll show you on the back of the bathroom door. That is my worn but not dirty clothes. So there's clean things that go away in either the drawers or hung up, and then there's dirty things that go in the pile to be washed in between if I've worn them, so they're not completely clean, but they don't need washed yet, so they're not completely dirty. They just go on my rack on the back of the door, and so I know that they're there. I know what category they go in, and I can eventually look through and go, yeah, this probably does need washed now. I also have a lot of different things I do in addition to the different climates. In this area, I have different kinds of jobs. So if I'm going to wear something to go garden, cut firewood, do some of those dirty outside things, the clothing may be dirty, but if I'm going to go the next afternoon and do the same dirty thing, it doesn't really make sense to wash something bulky like a pair of jeans just to make it equally dirty the next day. So even those kinds of things, sometimes I'll hang up, especially if I know I'm going to be doing the same kind of project the next day. And rewear them, because it doesn't hurt to have sawdust on your pants from the day before. And I obviously try to shake off, loose dirt outside just to not bring it in the house. But all those things allow me to wash clothing less often. So like I said, I do have quite a few pairs of socks and underwear. And then I like to have clothing that I like. I have a lot of dresses, I have a lot of skirts. I am not by any means a minimalist that has one skirt and one dress and one pair of jeans. But it all fits pretty nicely in my house. As I said, people ask about where clothing is because it's not really visible in any of my videos. So I'm going to show you around kind of what I have where and how that works, and try to answer questions people might have about clothing storage. Okay, so I'm going to start it right inside the door. This is my little coat rack. You can barely see it for all the clothing. Now there's several jackets, coats, sweatshirts, and scarves there. I've got a raincoat, a puffy down coat, a synthetic sweatshirt, a wool one, and so on. As I mentioned, do live in a cold climate. Let's take a peek outside. Oh yes, it's not spring where I live yet. Anyway, so I do have quite a few layers, and they all hang there nicely. And when it gets to be summer, I do take the heavier ones and put them in a cupboard where they'll be more out of the way for the summer when I don't need them. But there is no point in the year here where you're not likely to need jackets and scarves, so they just stay there all the time. Other clothing storage, small shoes work quite nicely on this little row of hooks. You can see the empty ones behind the bottom of my ski pants there. Right inside the door, lets them hang up and stay kind of out of the way, which is handy. Bigger things do not obviously hang very nicely. There's 2 pairs of boots, my fur snow boots, which are amazing, and a pair of muck boots for when it's just really wet and muddy. They're sitting in a little plastic tray right there that lets me set wet footwear. I'll even set smaller shoes in there if they're wet and soggy or have snow on them or something to melt before hanging them up, so water collects there and doesn't run all over my floor. So that's what I do with most shoes and boots. Again, if it's the middle of summer, the snow boots might go in a cupboard to be more out of the way. And again, there's probably no time of year here where something like muck boots aren't going to get used fairly regularly, so they're just going to be there. Anyway, that's inside the door. The next place in the house that there's clothing is in my storage stairs. Step back here so you can get a more full view. That's my little storage stairs. The very bottom drawer, the drawers all get bigger as they go down. The very bottom is a heater. The bottom drawer right there is other random papers and stuff. And the top 4 are clothing. Since they get increasingly smaller, let's see if I can do this and hold the camera. The top one has little things like underwear. Can't really see in from standing here on the floor. The next one has things like socks, which are not particularly organized. They're just, folded over so pairs stay together and tossed in there, mostly in dark colors, so they probably don't show up. Then I've got one with shirts and such. I have shirts and tank tops. I have, I don't tend to wear shirts that say anything on them. That one's for work, which is why I'm stuck with that. And the bottom and biggest one with clothing has pairs of pants, jeans and sweatpants and yoga pants, those kinds of things. So that is all of my folded clothing storage. Now as we come through the kitchen, open the bathroom door. This is the back of the bathroom door and shows you what I was talking about with my half-used clothing storage. So hanging on those hooks are just whatever I have already worn but is not dirty enough to need washed. And what's on there, changes and rotates over time. But that's what's there right now. Then as we come into the bathroom here, and it's a little bit hard to get in here because it's small. Let's see what I can do with the camera. So this is my main clothing storage. This is the shower. If you've watched my other videos, you probably know I don't use the shower in my house because of the hassle of carrying water. I shower at the gym, and so I use the shower space as storage. Down the bottom I keep things like Kleenex, paper towel, toilet paper, but I've got a second rack in here that you can see that works for hanging clothes. And I've got shirts that don't fold well, I've got skirts, I've got dresses. These things are a little bit spread out. The shower is 24 inches wide, and the clothing could probably, let's see, if I push it over, probably fit in less than 20 inches of hanging space. And as I said, I've got lots of clothing really. I think I haven't made much of an attempt to be very minimalist with that any more than I was already. So that's where I hang all of those things. Oh, I also have these little, let me show you an empty one, hire hangers. They're shaped like this. They're called hire hangers, made by a company I helped fund when they were a Kickstarter. These are their velvet covered ones, if the camera will focus on that. which I thought would be nice because it does keep things from sliding off very easily. It also makes clothing hard to get off very easily, so I might have liked the plastic version they have better, actually, but that's what I've got. And because of the way that hook is shaped, they set up, I have to sit back down here, they set up higher, and so if you have long dresses, I'm a little bit taller than some women, and I like floor length dresses, so that allows me to have more inches of actual hanging space without things just hanging either onto the floor or into my, like I said, pile of, you know, boxes of tissues, toilet paper, paper towel, and such that's on the floor under there. So those are pretty nice. I do recommend higher hangers or some hanger designed like that. If you have longer things you need to hang and a short closet space, that will help somewhat. Also, with my clothing, this is something that is not new to tiny house life for me, but what I've done for a lot of my life is when I, probably every 6 months at least, sometimes every 4 months or so, I'll go through my closet and just look at it and say, I haven't worn that sweater, shirt, dress, whatever in quite a while. Apparently I don't really like it, or it doesn't fit me that well, or I'm not happy with it. I may as well sell that. There are several consignment shops and such in my town. One that's specifically geared toward outdoor gear, so if I've got camping gear and clothes, and I should have mentioned I do have, there's a little closet up in the loft bedroom where some of the gear that is very activity specific stays, so you could count it as a clothing item, but I have a ski helmet, like I said, I've got climbing shoes, ski boots, some of those things that I don't use on a daily basis, they do live in that box. But anyway, if there's some of those things that I don't use anymore, or I've got a better one, or it's a sport that I don't seem to engage in anymore, you know, I can sell those things at one of the consignment stores. It's easy for me. I make some cash. Other people get nice used gear. I do the same thing with some used clothing. And if something is too worn to be, you know, worth a lot at a consignment store, then we've got a local store that it's not a Goodwill, but it's Goodwill-like, that takes donations of clothes, and where I also buy a lot of clothes. So if I've gone through my other options of, you know, making some cash for myself off of something I'm not using anymore, then I just take it there and donate it. This keeps my closet kind of cleaned out, and every now and then I'll think, oh, you know, now I don't have a little black dress that I like. I like black dresses. I actually probably have like 6 of them in varying styles. So that's not an issue, but you know, then I will go shopping for something new. Now, new for me doesn't usually mean brand new. It often means that I'm buying something at one of the same consignment stores or secondhand stores where I sell things, or if it is something I can't find there that I really want or would like, then it probably comes from some discount place like CR Trading Post, which does a lot of more outdoorsy and athletic and just regular clothing, but they're closeout secondhand stuff and overstock, so they're fairly inexpensive. So that if I am going to buy something actually new, that's probably the kind of place I'll buy it. And something somebody had told me, or I'd read quite a while ago about thinking out clothing, is think about what it costs and how many times are you going to wear that. If I like a dress that I have, I'm probably going to wear it for the next 10 years or more, multiple times. But if you're going to buy a dress for one occasion and only wear it once, then wearing it that time is going to cost you $10 or $40 or $60 or $100 or whatever you spend on the dress. Now, if you buy a $100 dress and you're going to wear it for 10 years and wear it, I don't know, once a week for all those years, that cost is going to come down to only costing you a few cents every time you wear it. So that's something to think about if you're trying to conserve on both space and money, to buy things that you like well enough and that are cheap enough and that you will wear often enough to make them worth both the money you've invested and the space you invested. If you've got a tiny house, space is limited, so investing the space to store something is important. So that's kind of part of how I keep my wardrobe reduced to a level that works for my tiny house. Another thing that there are plenty of, you know, clothing organizers that are probably much better at giving you ideas if this is something that you are trying to figure out how to do than I am. but it also helps if you either don't care about what's currently in style, which would be me, or if you buy things or like things or wear things that are kind of always in style. Like a black skirt is probably always going to be in style. A pair of jeans is always going to be in style. But that latest ridiculous, in my opinion, looking thing that is the current fad right now is going to look ridiculous to you and everyone else in a few months when it's no longer in style. That's probably not a good use of money or space. So when I buy something, it's going to be something that I should be able to wear for many, many years. So that helps as well. I've seen some other closet organizing tips. If it's hard for you to figure out what do you wear, what do you use, and what do you not, somebody suggested to take all the hangers, and if the hangers are facing forward as you look into your closet so that you can easily pull things off, flip them all around to be backwards. And then 6 months, every time you use something, turn the hanger around. So 6 months later, you can easily look through your closet and say, everything that is still hanging backwards, apparently I haven't used a single time. Maybe these are things I don't need. You would have to do that for a year time span if it's something that is extremely seasonal, like winter snow pants. If you do your 6 months in the summer, you're not going to use them. That's probably not too hard to figure out. But a lot of things, if it's gone that many months and you haven't worn it, you probably just don't like it, don't want it, don't need it, or aren't happy with it. So sell it, make a little cash, or give it to somebody else so they can use it, and then it's not taking up your space and energy in your tiny house. Anyway, that is some of my thoughts on how I organize my clothing. Though I have a minimalist wardrobe compared to some, and try to stick with things that, I guess my criteria is, first, it has to be practical. If it's a clothing item, it has to do what I need it to do. It has to keep me warm, or keep me dry, or keep me, whatever the quality is I'm looking for. It has to be practical. Then it has to be comfortable. And then I prefer that it looks nice or is a style that I like. And I tend to like simple and solid things. And so many things go together. You can, wear several shirts with one pair of jeans. You can wear lots of different things with one black skirt. You can wear, jeans or skirts with one black top, and so on. So if you buy things like that, it's easy to mix and match. That seems to work well for me. Probably nobody thinks I'm in style, but that's just isn't what I care about. If it's practical, if it does what I need it to do, if it is comfortable, and if I like the way it looks, then that works for me. And that allows me to have a good variety of clothing items and kinds of things for the varied sports that I do, varied weather conditions that I have, and the varied kinds of outfits I'd like to have, and fit it all pretty comfortably in my tiny house and not take up a ton of space. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If you've not followed my channel before, please subscribe. I have lots of other videos on tiny house life and the wildlife and nature I live in the middle of. I also have a blog where I have more info and posts and details on all kinds of things about. If you're hearing crackling in the background, that's probably this little fireplace that I'm sure you can see burning actively. That does make some noise the camera picks up. And anyway, I hope you folks are all having a wonderful evening, and probably it's a little warmer where you live than it is right here as I look at the heavy snowfall coming down outside. Thanks, guys. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you later.